Hey everyone, welcome to the Hair Transplant channel. My name is Joe Tillman and you're watching the official YouTube channel for HairTransplantMentor.com. Right, in today's video we're going to revisit Hair Transplant Mentor accepted clinic Alvi Armani based out of Beverly Hills, but this time with a twist. We're not going to Beverly Hills, we're going to be looking at their new clinic in Salt Lake City, Utah, and the doctor is Dr. Craig Barton. And as always, there's going to be plenty of information about Dr. Barton and the clinic in Salt Lake City, but I know what you guys are really here for. One, to find out who the doctor is, which you just found out, but two, to look at the results. So I'm not going to do a giant 10, 15 result video like I have in the past. We're going to keep it a little bit short for those of you with short attention spans, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into the results. First up, we got a 2,300 graft procedure. It is FUE, as Alvi Armani's is FUE only. Mid-30s Caucasian male presented with almost Norwood 3, kind of between a 2 and a 3 on the scale, but you can see here that it's also fairly diffused throughout the top. But combining with medication to deal with the back of the scalp and then 2,300 grafts via FUE for zones 1 and zone 2, along with PRP, which is standard at Alvi Armani. At these moderate angles here, we can see single hair grafts. We can see the angulation is really good. Really nice juncture here in that temple where the hairline comes in and meets the temple before it comes down into the natural temple point, which is untouched, by the way. Really good density on this as well. And then we have the side-by-side before and after. Obviously there's some difference because of the buzz hair in the before and the long hair in the after, but the overall effect cannot be denied. Looks fantastic. And then, of course, we transition into this comb through, which is the ultimate tell for a natural result. Can you comb through it and see that you can't see that it's not a hair transplant? Because I feel like this certainly meets that criteria. Donor area looks really good, and I think it's a great way to start this video, so let's move on to the next case. Next up, another Caucasian male, late 30s to early 40s, and this is the definition of being a Norwood 3, much higher hairline, deep recession in both temples, and this case was addressed by Dr. Barton with 3,000 grafts in zones 1 and 2, and the entire frontal region was significantly altered. And you can see in this immediate post-op shot, the hairline, it's not super aggressive, but a nice broadening of that hairline. Temple angle closure, not too aggressive on that, but really nice. And you'll see how appropriate it is as we move through the results. 7 days post-op, it's already healed up, looking really nice. And in this photo, I can actually see, I see how he placed the grafts for the maximum effect on the density side. Then we look at him at 4 months, and he's keeping his hair buzzed, which is what a lot of people do before the growth really starts to kick in. And I can see that the growth has started to kick in. He's keeping it short, but it's a really nice representation of what a lot of patients go through. And then only 2 months later, he let the hair grow. It's still fairly short, but his hairstyle is completely different than before. And this is a fantastic style for the guy. He's only at 6 months, but then when we look at a full year, he's got all this new growth. The hairline looks fantastic. Again, not too aggressive, super natural on everything about this. And this impromptu video that was taken, naturalness is what it's all about with this. There's no way to really debate that whatsoever. Again, 3,000 grafts, zones 1 and 2. I believe PRP was also included in that. Fantastic result. Great job. Let's move on to the next one. I really like this next case because the hair loss itself wasn't terrible. And in fact, the patient, I feel, in his before images is what a lot of people would be happy with as an after image if they had a lot more hair loss. But, you know, everyone has their own opinions of their own hair loss, and it affects, you know, different people in different ways. And I certainly understand that. This patient had a solid before situation, not only with minimal hair loss, but he had also been a long-term user, or is a long-term user, of both minoxidil and finasteride. So being in his late 30s, Dr. Barton and also Dr. Bauback thought that he was a really solid candidate for dense packing. And so you can see in these before images, the outline, the game plan, what they're thinking, especially this overhead shot. You can really see that it's not just the marking out of where the density is going to go, but they're also going to blend into the hair behind this exact placement. So the placement does go further into the hair for a proper blending so that there's not like this strong demarcation at any time in the future. It'll blend really nicely. So another thing about this case is it was early in Dr. Barton's career with Alvy Armani. It was in 2021, which is 3 years ago. But the video here is 2 years post-op, looking really good. A good, strong lowering of the hairline, but not crazy, not unusual or unnecessary or too aggressive. It's really nice placement, nice covering of the top of the forehead there. It's natural from every angle. And then we do have not just a comb through, but what I find interesting is they put the hair up in a hairbread of sorts, so you can really see that hairline without the hairstyle kind of covering over, because the hairstyle does kind of cover over the hairline. So they made sure that we can see that with his hair pulled back, and really nice singles, nice naturalness here. Nothing that draws the eye as being unnatural, looks really good. But then back to this comb through, they're doing the nice soft feather combing through the frontal hairline, combing it kind of against the grain, going from one side to the next, so you can see the density as well. Then they turn the patient to the side, and aside from combing of the donor area, I want you to look at the frontal hairline from the profile. You can see that those hairs are exiting at just the right angles to where it looks natural. They're not sticking straight up, they're not sticking backwards, not sticking off in these different directions. Nice and natural, flowing forward as it should. They turn the patient some more, they're going to comb through the donor area. Nice, natural, there's nothing that draws the eye. There's no concentration of the extraction, and there's no part of the donor area that has less density than the other due to the homogeneous nature of the extraction. And combing on the other side, again, those grafts are nicely flowing forward and in the proper angle and direction. Really nice comb through on this. And I like how they tied into the temple here, into the top of that temple point. Looks really good. So great job on this one. He's obviously happy. It's a fantastic result. Good job. Next up, we got another Caucasian male, early 30s, presenting with hair loss. It looks like about a Norwood 3 vertex, meaning high temporal recession, high hairline, but also balding in the crown. And this is a really nice case because, yes, he's a head shaver, which a lot of guys do when they're losing their hair. Nothing wrong with that. But what I like about this is the end result is stunning as far as not just the coverage, but what appears to be the density that they achieved in one pass. And it was 3,500 grafts. I don't know the distribution. My guess would be about 1,500-ish grafts for the frontal zone, and then about 2,000 grafts for that crown, give or take a few hundred grafts. But the outcome is fantastic. You can see that at 3 months, he's got significant growth throughout the placement area, both front and back. And then 1 year later, full growth has been realized, and we have full coverage, not just in the front, but also in the back. And as we go through these photos, I mean, it's easy to see that the coverage is there, but let's go to the video. And again, with the hairline, it's a nice density, nice feathering, so that it's not this block wall of hair that looks unnatural. It looks quite natural. But then as we turn to the side, just like on the previous patient, you can see those grafts, the exit angle, the direction from that hairline flowing forward, all in unison as it should be. Looks really good. And then the donor area looking strong, and you can start to get a hint for the crown from this side. And as he turns around now, you can see that crown. And I wasn't sure what I was looking at here, because I'm going to be honest with you, because I thought, well, maybe there's something going on with this result. Like maybe the patient has some product in his hair, because that looks really full compared to that before image. But then they started combing it, and you can see the scalp. You can see there's nothing in the scalp as far as concealers, dermatch, or fibers or anything like that. It's looking really good. And we saw the donor being combed through as well. Nothing stands out as being bad scarring or over harvesting or thinning or anything of that sort. Looks really great. Great whorl pattern as well. I mean, you can see the rotational nature of the placement. The crown was rebuilt with that rotational whorl pattern, looking really solid. And I think this is something to really be proud of. And of course, I really would expect the patient to be super happy because it really is a solid result, especially for the crown. That's impressive. Good job. Okay, final result before we get into the details of Dr. Barton and the clinic. This patient presented as about a Norwood 4, which means that the front and the back were greatly thinned or receded with a strong bridge in the middle. And what was it, 3,500 grafts were used in zones 1 and 2. The back was not covered, just zones 1 and 2 plus PRP. And what I like about this case is the before images are super clear, super high resolution. But I decided to go into a different direction with this particular result because when the when the clinic sent photos for me to look at, they included photos that he took. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to stick with the photos that he took for more of the realistic, in real life, IRL result that you would expect to see if you met him in person. So here we are 1 year later. He's in an elevator, of all places, and we all know if you've lost your hair or had a hair transplant, the lighting in elevators is the worst. You see everything. Not on him. Like, it looks really good. The density looks strong, especially for that many grafts in zones 1 and 2. It's a really strong turnaround. He lost 10 years off of his appearance, no doubt. And I think it looks fantastic. It's just, I mean, this is what he would look like if you ran into him in an elevator in Vegas someplace. There is an interview with him on the website. Here's a little bit of the comb through. He's talking in the background. I'm not going to include all of that. I don't usually like to include testimonials of patients, of doctors I'm talking about, because that's for you to look at. This is something, you know, testimonials don't really mean anything to me. It's the result that means something to me. And this is a fantastic result, looks really good, super natural. Obviously, it's got some really great density, and he's obviously really happy. So with that done, let's talk about Dr. Barton. So you saw the results. I think they speak for themselves, looking really strong, really solid. And this is probably the thing that stands out to me the most, is the fact that he didn't just have a weekend course like a lot of the doctors out there today. In fact, you'd be surprised at how many doctors that you may have even heard of and may have even considered didn't actually have any sort of formal training. They didn't have a fellowship. They may have had a weekend. They may have gone to visit some different doctors that they know and spend a few days shadowing those doctors and their staff to get a feel for what to do. But very few doctors in this industry have had actual training that they can be called a fellowship. And that's exactly what Dr. Barton had, a full 2 years under the tutelage of Dr. Babak Hayatavudi out of Beverly Hills, California, in the Alvi Armani office there. But he's got a pretty cool background as far as his medical training. But one thing I thought was interesting about his educational background was his undergraduate degree from the University of Utah was a Bachelor's of Arts in Chinese. Cool. But then he went on to get his medical degree from the University of Utah as well, with a residency at University of South Alabama, and then with fellowships at Bayfront Medical and then Johns Hopkins University. And after all that, he became a board-certified sports medicine primary physician, actually working with some of the baseball teams in Florida, including New York Yankees, Tampa Bay Rays, and of course the Vipers. But what got him into hair restoration was most likely the fact that he is also a patient of the Alvi Armani Clinic in Beverly Hills. So now we know the real story. Good job. All right, so that's the end of it. Like I said, I try to keep this one shorter because I tend to just really cram in a lot of results on these videos. And I'm trying to pare it back a little bit, which means that there's more to come. If you want to get notified of those videos coming out, don't forget to like the video just to help me out. Subscribe to the video and enable all notifications so that you are notified when those videos come out. So hope you enjoyed this one. I know I did. I like the work coming out of Alvi Armani and Dr. Craig Barton in Salt Lake City. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you in the next video. Peace.